What's up guys, it's Alexander Travel Bum, and today we're going over how to travel Vietnam on $10 or less per day. So I recently traveled in Vietnam for about a month, and I learned how to really travel this country on a budget, and it wasn't hard to do. Vietnam is one of the easiest countries to travel on a budget, a place where you can stretch your dollar in every category when it comes to accommodation, food, transportation, alcohol, really everything. You can find options that fit your budget. So when I was in Southeast Asia, I was trying to get by mostly on $10 a day. Vietnam is one of the countries that it was really easy to do. So my first tip is to travel in the off-season. This is just an extra tip if you do have the option to travel in the off-season, not to travel during the summer months. Things will be a lot cheaper. But if you can't do that, you'll still be able to travel on a budget. Before you go, download the Agoda app. It is the best app for finding hostels and hotels while you're in Southeast Asia. Agoda is the best one for Asia. The next thing is learn to bargain. Vietnam is a place where they definitely bargain. It's just a way of life over there. So it's not rude, it's just what they do there. And they'll definitely take advantage of you because you're a tourist. Okay, so the first thing we're really going to go over is accommodation. On average, my accommodation, my hotels and hostels were $3 to $5. And that's definitely in the lower price range. I'd say the average for most people is probably $7 or $8. But you can find the cheaper ones. So some of the ways that I found cheap accommodation is, first of all, don't rule out hotel rooms. Most of the time when you travel, hostels are going to be your cheapest option. But for some reason in Vietnam, a lot of times, hotels are actually the cheapest option. Sometimes you can get a private room for cheaper than you can get a bunk in a hostel. I found hotel rooms for only $1 to $3 a night. People always think I'm lying when I say that I found any accommodation for $1 in Vietnam, but I did. And it might have been because of the time that I was traveling. It also depends on the cities that you're traveling to and the area that you're in. But there were a few times, not very many times, but a few where I found accommodation for $1. Another option, which I didn't do, but I have heard of people doing this, is some travelers, if you really want to save money, you can bring a hammock with you when you come to Southeast Asia. And in Vietnam, you can hang your hammock at hostels or hotels occasionally for nothing, just for free, and sleep out in front. Another way that I saved money is I didn't always book online. In Vietnam, a lot of times the accommodation actually isn't on Agoda. It isn't on Booking. It isn't anywhere to be found online. I started to notice the more and more I traveled through that I would see all of these hotels and hostels with their signs showing really good prices, and I kept remembering I did not see that online. So then I started doing this. When I would get to a new city, I would just walk around and I would just look at the signs, look for prices, and one of the things that I found out was if you go through the alleyways, get off the beaten path a little bit, off of the main road, that's where you could really find the budget options. This is a lot of times where I found single rooms in hotels for about $2 or $3 a night. Okay, next is food. Your average meal in Vietnam is $1 to $3, but you can definitely budget. And you can find things for $1 or less, easily, and really good food too. They're famous for their banh mi, the Vietnamese sandwich, and those are typically around $1 or less. You need to try the street vendors, the food carts, the holes in the wall, the places that are a little bit out of the touristy areas, and that's where you'll find your $1 or $2 meals. You can get pho, also another famous Vietnamese soup, and that is usually less than $1, sometimes about 40-50 cents. Smoothies you can find for 50 cents or $1. Quick question, what is the cheapest country that you've ever traveled to? Leave a comment below so people can get some ideas. Alright, so next is the fun one, alcohol. Surprisingly, in Vietnam, alcohol is very cheap. Mainly beer, the Vietnamese beer. You can find it for 25 cents in a lot of cities. Or, even better, a lot of times hostels in Vietnam have a happy hour that's basically free beer. So I would go into these hostels, or I'd make friends staying at these hostels, and they would be just giving out free alcohol for 1 hour before they would go out on a pub crawl or something like that. Sometimes that was all I needed for the night, and I drank for free the whole night. So the bars and the clubs are aimed at tourists, so you're probably going to be paying regular prices or inflated foreigner prices. So what you should do in Vietnam is you go to these little hole-in-the-wall restaurants, and they usually have this little fridge sitting there that has drinks and has beer in it. And you buy your beer for 25 cents, 50 cents, $1, and then bring that into the bar. Sometimes you might have to smuggle it in. So next is transportation. You're going to take a lot of buses. When you're taking your long journeys in between cities, you're going to be taking sleeper buses. And these buses are actually really cool. You get to lay down and you have your own cubby hole where you put your legs. And they're actually really cheap. I found these from $4 to around $12. And some of these are 8-hour trips or 12-hour trips. So very cheap for what you get. And a bonus tip here is if you take the sleeper bus, you can save on a night's accommodation because you're not paying for accommodation because you're sleeping on the bus for free. And then when you're getting around within the city, a lot of times you'll probably want to rent a scooter, and these are pretty cheap. They usually range from about $5 to $7 for the day. But you can go around, sometimes you can even haggle a little bit and get it for a little bit less. And when you can't rent a scooter, get the Uber app and use Uber, because Uber won't charge you foreigner prices like the taxis will. So you're gonna get good prices with Uber. Okay, next is tours. So try not to do a lot of expensive tours. These are the things that really get tourists. But one that you have to take if you go here, which you really should, if you go to Ha Long Bay, you basically have to take a tour to see the beauty of Ha Long Bay. And almost everyone I met, all these travelers, they paid around $100 to $200 to do a 1 to 3 night trip on this boat going around and seeing Ha Long Bay. I paid about $25 and I did a whole day tour. And after that I did my own tour on the main area of Ha Long, and that's where I found this view. And that view was free. Nobody else got that for paying an extra $150. If you want to know how to get to that view, click this video. The best part about this viewpoint is that not many people know about it. Not many tourists come here. I have this place all to myself. Come to think about it, maybe I shouldn't tell you. It is the best view in all of Ha Long Bay, and I tell you exactly how to get there. Bonus tip, get your visa ahead of time. You need to do this. I forgot to get my visa because I was traveling around Southeast Asia, and most countries you can just get it upon arrival, but in Vietnam you don't. So I believe it costs about $80 if you do it ahead of time, but the longer you wait, the more it costs. So I had a plane to catch and I was already at the airport, and I had to struggle and squeeze it into this hour that I had before my flight to get my visa. And because of the highly expedited process, it cost me hundreds of dollars to get that visa. I almost didn't go to Vietnam because of it. But I paid it, and I don't even want to give you the real figure, but it was in the hundreds. So overall, Vietnam is one of the best countries to travel on a budget. You can save in every category. It's one of the most affordable countries you can travel to. Once again, I'd like to know if you've traveled to a really cheap country. I'd like to know what it is, and I'm sure everyone watching this wants to get some ideas of where they can go really cheap. So leave a comment below and let's just make a list of all the cheapest countries to travel to. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to be traveling around the world and I want to share it with you. It's your life, take it traveling. Really? With what? My adventure in the... Took them off because you're going through the jungle.